Yeah, I guess the future will be televised. You within range of your greatness, graciously be advised. We tap into inspiration, generational kind, and moving mountains for the gems they could never find. We take the dive a little deeper every single time. We let the art in every single thing they go behind. In every scene to bring the greatness out. Whatever it is, please just make it count. Then tell the story to the world when you make it out. You are now within range. You are now within range. That's all I know.
That's all I know.
You are now within range.
That's all I know.
You are now within range.
That's all.
You are now within range. You are now within range.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Within Range podcast. Ear God, Jared Suter, Dom Juan, and excited to have this guest in the house today, boys. Jared, you and I actually got a chance to see him perform at the
that Big Homies event?
Yeah, last
that was
summer.
Awesome. Yeah, it was.
Shout out
hot,
Big Homie. Hot box in that mug. Though.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. That was for the real ones out there. You had to be an AZ native or a longtime resident to do it. It was fun. That was a good time.
Hell yeah. Our boy killed it. We knew we had to interview him. I also may have heard that outside of music, he's dabbling with maybe some editing and some directing, I've been told. So definitely want to get into that today. But hailing from Brooklyn, New York, by way of Arizona, Breezeway Management, we are here with Money Reeks today.
Yes, sir. What's up, fellas?
And thank you for coming on, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure to have you here.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, Reeks. Now, we've been following you, man. We've been keeping up, and this was meant to be. So
For sure. I appreciate y'all.
we want to take it back a bit to start, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I understand born and raised in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
more specifically Bed-Stuy.
Best style, yep.
So for those of us who've never been to the East Coast like myself, not too familiar, how would you say Bed-Stuy differs from the rest of Brooklyn? Or is there anything distinct about it?
Yeah, really, you know when you're in Bed-Stuy because the architecture is a little bit different. You know what I mean? We have the brownstones and stuff like that, you know? Okay. So, you know, just the scenery, the ambiance, the environment is different. It's known to be, well, when I was growing up, one of the rougher neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So you always knew when you were in the Bed-Stuy area. Well, you know, we take transportation in New York. So whenever you come across the Bed-Stuy neighborhoods, those stops were the dangerous stops.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
don't get off if you don't have to.
Exactly.
Type
You
shit.
don't have to. Don't be there if you don't have to. Watch what you're wearing, everything. You know what I mean? So that's what it was infamous for. Yeah. But, I mean, when you grow up in it, you really don't even notice the hype, I guess, or you don't notice, I guess, the danger. You know, it's normal to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was regular. It was I had a beautiful childhood, you know?
Yeah.
As rough as it was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Be like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, something also pretty notable about Bed-Stuy. I mean, one of the greatest rappers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the notorious B.I.G., right?
For
From
sure.
Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, man. You know, it's a lot of culture in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? You know, that's one thing I realized going other places, and especially when it's really cool being able to take, you know, my kids back and realizing things that I took for granted. You know, Brooklyn is hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, just walking outside. You know, my son, he's from Arizona, so him walking around, he was like, "Papa, are you allowed to draw on the walls?" You know what I mean? Just because
from the graffiti.
it's so much graffiti that he thought it was you're allowed to. You know what I mean? So I realized that at that moment, like, no, you're not allowed to draw on the walls.
You're not supposed to.
Dude,
But
that's a great
it's
line.
normal.
if it looks good, they'll keep it.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, you know. So I had
Banksy
to
on
kind of
me.
explain that to him. You know, I remember small things like Biggie's funeral. You know what I mean?
Really?
Well, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
wow.
I
Oh, you got to
remember
tell us
that.
about that. What
For
do you?
sure.
Where were you? What we'd?
Fulton
what did you
Street.
see?
You know what I
Fulton,
mean?
yeah.
Fulton
Fulton Street.
Yeah, for sure.
Classic.
When his hearse came around, I don't remember seeing his actual hearse. You know what I mean? Like watching it go by. I was a child. I had to be like 10 years old or something like that. You know what I mean? But I remember being on the block, and I remember being outside. I remember it being like a block party. I remember how much Biggie meant to Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of different things. You know, so yeah, Brooklyn is hip hop. You know, you start to realize that once as a culture. You know what I'm saying? And you start to realize that when you see the lack of everywhere else.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because Arizona, I mean, they say there's culture here, which there is to a point, but it's hard to compare to an East Coast.
It's in the early stages for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's in the early stages. There's a lot of out of towners coming out here that's making it a melting pot, bringing their cultures here. You know, opening up restaurants and different things from where they're from. Yep. You know, so it's gonna be like that sooner or later. But you know, it's still growing. Yeah. You know, whereas a place like New York is just. It just originates in,
as old as the country,
exactly.
basically.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
if not older.
For sure.
I should know that.
Oh, man. Well, I think another tie with Brooklyn, just something else that I may have heard, but I heard you were quite the baller, the basketball player back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I did.
Is it true? Is it true that you play basketball with Bassy?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I did play basketball with Bassy.
For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, we're talking about Sebastian Telfair, Coney Island's arguably greatest basketball player ever. Would you say, or I mean, is that Can you say that?
I'm not gonna hold you, bro.
It's a sacred thing out there.
I didn't like. He's getting a lot of headlines right now in a negative
way. Yeah.
And a lot of the point guards and a lot of the media are kind of attacking him for saying what he said as far as being the GOAT of, high school basketball in Brooklyn. And, I'm a vouch for my man. Yo.
Yeah, let's go, dude. Hey, Drew, give me some fire.
He was that dude. I remember, I was playing ball early, so I was traveling early. We was in third grade. I was in third grade. He was in fourth grade. And we was going to Ohio. He had us going to Vegas. We was getting sponsorships. Wow. I was coming home with, the new Iversons, whatever sneaker was
had
lit.
A pair, Drew had a pair too.
Exactly, whatever sneaker
pairs,
was lit. For sure, but I had Bassy to thank for that. You know what I mean? We wasn't getting sponsorships like that, so it was him. They was coming to our games because of him, And I remember we was coming from Ohio. I was in fourth grade and he was in fifth grade, and Coach Ziggy came on the bus and he started ranking us. He was like number 1 fifth grader in the country, and I was like, damn, they ranking us already. You know what I mean?
Fifth grade,
number 1 fifth grader in the country.
That's
is
crazy.
Sebastian Telfair, and number 1 fourth grader in the country was this other kid named Nunu. But yeah, man, Sebastian, it was a movie when he was around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I mean, they made literally Through the Fire documentary.
Sure.
I watched that. I damn near broke the DVD. I watched it so much.
Yeah, so it's crazy how things kind of fall into place. Once the NBA comes in the light and everything like that. But man, we got some legends in New York for sure, and I think Sebastian does need his props before anything. You got to big that man up. So. Yeah, shout out to him, man. Coney Island's own.
Man, so if he's number 1, who's number 2? Who's coming in point guard wise? We're talking specific now.
Point guard wise,
who would you put it? Mark Jackson up there?
Yeah, probably Mark Jackson, or Rafer Alston.
Oh, Rafer Alston, that was the and one guy. Son,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as culture, I think you got to give him a lot of props as far as that's concerned, because I mean, he took the culture somewhere else with the and one thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kids who didn't understand New York street ball got a taste of it because of and one, because of Skip to Malou. And I remember back in the day, they started selling the and one tapes with sneaker sales and Foot Locker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the average Joe Schmo in Indiana somewhere got a taste of New York street ball, and they even went on tour, I think.
Oh yeah,
that. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, that was cool. So I would say, legendary wise, street ball wise, he's a hood legend for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's get some good stories early here.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Stephon Marbury.
Yeah, you can't forget about Steph. Is he still doing his thing overseas?
I think so. I think he's like, he's the man in
scoring
China
50
now.
a game at his age still.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing anymore, but I think he's just a figure over there.
They're gonna build a statue of him somewhere out there, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what else? What else?
Stuff. Yeah, I definitely played ball.
Yeah, heard that. I think I had asked you this too. You said you spent some time going to school in Brooklyn, Maryland. But did you also go to school somewhere out of state, up in Washington? Did you go up there for a little bit?
For sure, I did. State of Washington.
State of Washington, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, man. Dang, you guys are good. Right, so it can't hide from y'all. All right, so yeah. Where I grew up at, it was kind of a rough neighborhood or whatever, so I started getting in a little bit of trouble, and just trouble started, finding us, how it does in New York. So my mother was influenced by her friends to move us out to Lacey, Washington.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And shout out to that place because it's because of that place that I started rapping.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, because...
What's the story there?
I played ball in New York. You know, I wasn't a rapper. And when I went out to Washington, they never seen anybody like me before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just assumed that I did Brooklyn shit. You know what I mean? They, like, as soon as I came to class, they was like, this is high school. So as soon as I came to class, they was just like, do you rap? Like, do you got a gun? Do you know what I mean? Do you do this? Do you do that or whatever? And, you know, I kind of lived up to it, you know, in a way. And to be honest, I started rapping because they had like these club days, you know, like Decca and all this other stuff. But I didn't fit into any of the other clubs, so I made a hip hop club. And
Wow.
Yep. And I would start, you know, just playing hip hop music.
How old
and
were you
stuff.
at this time?
This is like 16, 15, something like that. You know what I mean? And I started rapping in that hip hop club, and it wasn't even my raps. I used to rap like Jadakiss and old Jadakiss and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I got popular. I got really, really popular because they didn't know any better. They didn't know Locks.
Right,
They never
exactly.
even
I was
heard of
gonna
that
say,
shit.
dude,
They never even seen.
They're like, I
Tim's
love
before.
bagels. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I'm kicking
my
like
dad eats that every morning.
yeah, I'm kicking like popular shit. They didn't know what it was, but then I got popular, so people started coming like, you know, by the droves, and I started having to, you know, make my own shit up.
Okay.
And that's when I started rapping. I started filling in like, you know, Jadakiss bars or Lost Boys lyrics with my own stuff.
Lost Boys.
Wow.
Yeah, and I kept it. You know what I mean?
Any
and I came
Hove
back
lyrics
home
in there?
rapping. Yeah, Hove. I used to kick real Hove shit. Yeah. And be looking around like.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but I was just a cool kid. I was the one that they all looked up to, you know what I mean? So I had to give them something to follow. I knew there was something there, you know what I mean? So I had to, you know, give them something to follow, you know what I mean?
That's amazing. That's almost like a movie where you get like time travel, and it's just like you know all the plays. You're sitting there. You're like, wait till I hit him with this dirt off
It's
your
exactly
shoulder.
like that. It's exactly like
You're
that.
like, they're gonna
For sure.
when I drop 99 problems on these kids, they're about
for
to
sure.
shit themselves.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. That's exactly what it
dude,
was.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's exactly a time travel situation. Yeah.
Dude, just
Nobody knows
from
who
the
Biggie is.
future. Dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Oh,
I'm about
dude.
to kill the game. That's exactly
Wait till
what it
they
was.
hear Big Papa. Dear God.
For sure.
I absolutely love that because that's like 50 Cent thought, like mentality. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
get their attention, and then when I'm gonna come with the original shit, now I got the chance to hold on to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, why they don't know that to this day. They don't know what I was doing back, you know? They don't know that now, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
It's out there now.
Yeah,
Jay Z
for sure.
comes on their Spotify. They're like, "Yo, no, I'm telling you, dude, this kid was doing this in Washington."
Back then,
dude.
yeah. Oh, man, Jay-Z's stealing your stuff, man.
That's amazing. Hey, really quick on that too. I just learned this recently. Jimi Hendrix did that too. His first show, Paul McCartney helped set it up, and
Yeah.
I think it was Monterey. He went out, did all covers, like where he did that
All
famous
covers,
like
yeah.
light the guitar on fire
Yeah.
and
Oh,
stuff.
no shit.
That was he went out there, did not do a single original song, dude. He
For
came out and
sure.
did Wild Thing.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and that was his exact mentality is I have one shot, and he kind of cucked the Who being the closer of that show. They
Wow.
like flipped a coin, and it's like a whole thing. But yeah, dude, Jimi
Wow.
Hendrix did that too. He was
That
like,
was like his little arch rival, the lead singer, right?
That's right, yeah,
He was, like,
and
messing
I
with his
think it
girl
was
or something
because of
like
that, yeah.
Oh,
But it was his first big show to like come to the States and like make a name, and he was just like he played all covers and killed it.
And
So.
he died like maybe 2 weeks after that or something like that?
No,
Shortly after that, right?
he had a little bit of a run, but dude, I actually, it's
Conspiracy.
a whole rabbit hole we could go down, dude, but
So tell us how you ended up in AZ, man.
Man,
Is that a story in itself?
Yeah, that's a story in itself, man. Street life, you know what I mean? You know, I was always into getting money, always into hustling and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And Arizona was always Plug City. And, you know, the prices was always better. So, yeah, man, that's how I learned about Arizona, you know, with some good friends and just coming back and forth. And when I think the Giants had went to the Super Bowl, like 2010 or something like that. Somewhere close to there,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Giants
yeah.
went to the Super Bowl for the second
the
time.
Brady killing
Yeah,
years.
that's right. Eli got him twice.
And you know, I had the time of my life when I experienced that, when I came here for that. And,
Yeah, that would have been nice.
And I started.
Sorry, still not over the Niners. Keep going, please. Yeah, would have been nice. Yeah, would have been cool.
Yeah,
Sorry.
man. Have you seen all of the hoopla about like
The not knowing the overtime rules and all
the
that.
cheating and stuff like that, and how they skipped the first like a whole set of downs?
Oh, I missed that.
For the
No, I
Kansas
haven't
City
seen
Chiefs.
that. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, they skipped the whole set of downs. They ran a play, ran out of it was like supposed to be second down. And, you know, like they kind of did the whole, and they went right back to first down for them or whatever on that last drive. There's a lot of stuff like that they've been catching.
Taylor Swift was just over there.
Yeah, I know,
Hit him with the Taylor Swift Hadouken.
They were writing the script as it was
I
going.
know, man. The script talk is crazy right now. But
That's insane. I'm glad I haven't seen that. I don't know if my blood pressure could take it, dude.
Especially with Niner fans. Why mess with the Niner fans?
Yeah, exactly.
It's too big.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it must be nice to be root for such a good team.
Yeah, word.
95 was the last Super Bowl. Anyways, keep going.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much what was the question?
No, you came out to Arizona. That did it for you.
Yeah, man, the hustle
right?
game. When I started doing the math around 2010, and then I ended up coming out here a couple years after that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So, yeah, but I love it. It was all about the scenery. And I know it's an untapped market out here. Same mentality.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to come and apply that pressure, that New York pressure, to a place like this, and also get a chance to relax.
Nice place to
plenty
be.
of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
You said you were going back and forth, like how you found out about it from Washington?
No, okay, so
I was like, that's a
I stayed
quick
in Washington.
That's not a quick drive.
Yeah, I stayed in Washington for maybe about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother ended up sending me back to New York to live.
Got it.
Or whatever,
Okay.
Because
She stayed out there?
yeah, she stayed out there for a while, maybe about 2 more years, and then she came back east.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just too much for Washington.
You were from the future, dude.
Fair.
I mean, you could.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how could you live in that? Dude?
Yeah.
You went
For
from that to an
sure,
episode of like
for sure.
Dawson's Creek, dude. Yeah. Gilmore Girls.
But I attest a lot of what I went through, and like a lot of my the negative things that I went through, or corruptness, I would guess you would say, of Money Reeks to Washington, because I would have been a square kid playing basketball if I'd have never left New York. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when it was like, you're humble growing up in a place like New York. Like I said, growing up in Bed-Stuy, growing up, just in Brooklyn, period. And you can kind of see, there's levels to, just the hood. You know what I mean? And then you go to a place where you are the toughest person.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a crazy take on it.
You know what I mean?
Like,
You really
someone
are
as
the
an
toughest
outsider.
person. Not only are you the toughest person, they respect you as such. They just give you the title. They just lift you up in that way. I was a tyrant out there. You know what I mean?
Man, it would be hard,
Went to your
hard
head,
not
exactly,
to be, bro.
so-
15, 16 though would go to your head. That is interesting to hear though. You said you would have been a square living in Brooklyn and going out to a smaller place in Washington was what did
Exactly.
it for you. I mean, that's
Wow.
Yeah, that really
that
did it
just
for me.
goes to show.
Perspective, man.
That's cool.
And my mother thought she was doing something, so
Yeah.
as a parent, you can't bet on your kids. You know what I mean? You can't.
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
sometimes in
Try
a
your
smaller
best.
town, there's a little less to do too.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's just
So-
like, yeah.
Yeah, and they never heard of the shit that I was on. So you know what I mean?
It's different.
So, like it was cool. So.
Imagine the first time they heard the beat for New York.
You made this beat, yeah.
yeah, that was me.
So was it Arizona where you really started leaning into the music, where you actually started recording songs and actually started developing your style and developing your basically
Arizona?
Money Reeks? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so, for sure. I started putting the marketing behind it, started just embodying the character outside of just who I am as a person, you know what I'm saying? And I say Arizona is where I really started owning in on the music and the business of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Business
For
as
sure.
a whole, you gotta know that side.
Yeah.
of it
Yeah,
from
you know,
what
I've
we're
always been around it. Like I said, like the culture, God bless the dead. My brother, he died when he was 21. You know what I mean? So he was always rapping. He was he was born out the womb spitting. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Like 8 years old. So
You speak on that in the music, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about him. You said, my brother didn't die in vain. I think you have a line.
for sure, yeah. He didn't die in vain for this, And before he died, he kind of saw my skills and he was like, "Yo, man, you got it." You know what I mean? I was always the, I guess the marketable one or the commercial one. You know what I mean? Out of whatever crew I was with, you know what I'm saying? Like I even, in Breezeway, like I'm the hook guy, I'm the catchy guy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So, he kind of blessed me, and I kind of just hit the ground running with it, and linking up with a cat like Bryce, helped me put
Shout
the
out
business
Bryce
behind
Breeze,
it in a
man.
real way. You know what I mean? And in a lot of ways that I didn't understand before. So
How'd you guys link up?
Man, so crazy story. My cousin Skeet Black, he's from the Sty. He's had a harsh life, man. He's had a real life. How about that? You know what I'm saying? He's made the most of it. You know what I'm saying? But anything you can go through in the hood, he's pretty much went through it. And, you know, we went through a whole lot of years doing a whole lot of shit. And, you know, back in 2000 and, you know, a good like 13 years ago, 14 years ago now, he was shot for no reason, you know, getting off of work. He got shot and it ended up, you know, paralyzing him.
Oh.
So, you know, he threw a party, you know, just basically kind of, you know, getting set in his, I guess, new life.
Yeah.
And he threw a party in the Hamptons, you know what I mean, just to celebrate.
Some light.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And had the whole hood, you know. One thing about Brooklyn cats, they from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? You ask them how to get to the city or to the Empire State Building or whatever. A lot of cats wouldn't even be able to tell you how.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? There's some hood shit. You know what I mean? But so he threw. So that's how significant it is for a bunch of Bed-Stuy niggas to be in the Hamptons. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Right next to Martha Stewart.
Right, yeah.
Dave Portnoy. Yeah.
Exactly. So he knew what he was doing. He knew how symbolic that was. He threw a party. And my man Charlie B, you know what I'm saying, who's like a cousin to me, he was like, yo, Riggs, you messing around in Arizona, right? We all hustlers or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, you rocking Arizona, right? I got a shorty upstairs. She be dibbling and dabbling in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to her. And this is like regular conversation. I ain't even thinking nothing of it. And then so, you know, later on in the party, this girl named Bonnie, he comes to me with this girl named Bonnie. And she's like, oh, word, you in Arizona? Yo, you ever heard of Murk? You know what I mean?
Oh,
and she's like, yeah, that's my cousin Murkemz right here, man. He's popping, da-da-da-da. And he's talking all about him and everything. And I'm like, all right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sweating it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then when, you know, she keeps showing me and she shows me Bryce, you know what I'm saying? And she's like telling me everything about the management and all this other stuff. And, you know, so she linked it up. And when I came back to Arizona, I linked up with Bryce, linked up with Murk, and it was like a family situation.
The New York connection.
Of how it came about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been tough ever since. We've been rocking ever since, you know?
Man, you guys been buzzing, man. Breezeway Management's been going crazy.
Going crazy.
Since
Yeah.
what, 20...
For sure.
What'd you say, 2020, 21? Maybe even
Yeah,
before?
yeah, something like that. Just nonstop. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say about 2020, 2021, something like that. You know what I mean? And it's dope. You know, you always hear the saying, like, link up with like minds, but, it, you know, to link up with hard workers like, you know, the cats at Breezeway, you know what I mean? Somebody who can match my effort, my work ethic, you know, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I don't take that for granted.
I want to go back. You said you're the marketable, always been the marketable one. You're the one on the hooks. Is that something that you've intentionally like worked towards, or do you think that's something you're born with? What is it that does that?
Yeah, I had to pay attention to. That was a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was, you know, I've always been into music.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been, you know, flipping through my mother's CDs, my father's CDs, tapes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So a lot of stuff comes to me based on the oldies. You remember I started based on other people's shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And then started filling in those melodies. You know what I mean?
What kind of oldies we talking?
Oldies, spinners, OJs, you know,
Temptations?
shit like that. Temptations,
Nice.
those
Yeah,
days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, you know what I mean? Even to my pops is hip hop, you know what I mean? He's like the, you know, that generation between me and my father is probably the first, you know, father to son hip hop relationship. The dynamic between him and his father is completely different.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
they don't get it, you know what I mean? But my dad gets it, you know what I'm saying? He had me up in Beat Street early, you know what I'm saying? He was supporting my brother's music career, you know what I mean? He was bumping KRS-One when I was young. He's the first one who put on Biggie for me and taught me what a metaphor was, and you know what I'm saying? So I've always had an understanding for it and been around the science. So I think you know, that's where it comes from. And then, like I said, always starting out replacing melodies with my own words, you know, kind of is probably what molded me into, you know, a catchy guy, a melody guy.
Man, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah, that makes
For
sense.
sure. But yeah, and that's how it comes about when I make music. You know, the process to, you know, kind of let you in is like, you know, I think of the movie first. You know what I mean? I hear the beat. I'm thinking, what scene is this in my movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I getting out the car? Am I doing this? Am I doing, you know what I mean? Because I've lived a hell of a life. And if I was to put it in a movie, you know, there would be, you know, a soundtrack for it. And that's what I think of first. And then comes the melody. And then once I come up with the melody, it's like connecting the dots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a puzzle.
Like, yeah, it's a puzzle
Yeah.
for sure. You know what I mean? And then
That's cool because I think that's a secret to success with a lot of things, and like especially creativity that's hard to like quantify for people, and like it's hard to be like, oh, this is how you do it, because like people that really like music don't like formulaic stuff, you know, a lot of times. I mean, sometimes
Right.
sometimes it works, but it sounds like you combo that. So it's like you have you can break things down to their parts because you understand like how it works, but then you have a know of the landscape, so you have like a lot of stuff to draw on for inspiration, but then you also get in there and it's like, okay, then there's like a percentage of it is just the raw emotion or like what comes to me, what's the feeling, but it's like it's not the whole, it's not all feel, like you have a science to it, and I think that's important.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely a science to it to narrow it down because your thoughts can get kind of chaotic, you know what I mean? But it should be easy, you know what I mean? Usually if something sparks, it usually sparks with me in the first 10 seconds of hearing the beat.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
like quick.
Really quick. And sometimes it happens like before the beat even drops, and I'm surprised. I'm looking around like, what the hell? Do you see what's coming out of my mouth right now? Like, it's really like God just steps in, you know what I mean? And you know, that's when you just let your experiences take over. You know what I mean?
That's cool, man. Yeah.
That's a talent in itself, and that's actually a rarity that, you know, not many people really get to either develop it or just don't have it at all.
Yeah.
To be able, like what Jared said, to be able to quantify your creativity, that's a very, very dangerous skill to have. And so totally. I think you being recognizing and self-aware that you said you're the marketing, you kind of, you know more the marketing side than most, and then to be able to be the hook guy, that's a very, very good high quantitative skill to have.
Yeah, for sure. So I believe that now. I really do. I test it. Sometimes, you know, I go back and listen to the empty beat and be like, wow, how'd I come up with that? Or sometimes I'll, you know, be sitting with other people and ask, you know, what would you come up with this?
Right.
Like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to see where your rhythm is at least, or what part of the beat do you hear first, or what is it? And then that's when I started to realize, you know, okay, maybe I do have something. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody doesn't do it. You know, it's hard to believe in yourself, I guess. You know what I mean?
Need those validating moments. It's like you can only be so self-confident to a point, but it's like at a certain point, you need validation. It's not that you look externally, but it's like for yourself. You're like, no, I need to prove X, Y, or Z to myself. I get that. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to believe that. Like if you tell me, yo, Reeks, this shit is dope. Blah 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 blah. It's hard to believe you. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's kind of hard to believe you. When somebody compliments you, it says that, you know, something like a lot of people can't do that. You know what I mean? It's hard to believe that because especially if you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, should I do it? I'm not special. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd rather be that way though, because there's some people that are like, one guy's like, you're the man. You're like, really?
Oh yeah, then
I am, and they go with that, and it's. I think it's definitely better to keep it a little more humble and keep working hard, same way you are. Take note of it, and then it's just like that. Those moments will come that are undeniable validation. It's like, okay, those are the ones that'll get you.
Yeah, totally.
When those paychecks start coming in,
that's great validation. That's how I know I love it, man. Because it doesn't take the paychecks now, man. I could be sick. Yeah. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of just, you know, a bad day and just set up the microphone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn. I just laugh to myself like I must really love this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I should not be worried about this right now. You know what I mean? But I still put in work. You know what I mean? Not expecting to make a dime. Not expecting it to better any situation that I'm in. But I just got to get it out. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's how I know I love it. So it's really about doing what you love. And they say just focus on what you love and just keep doing it for the love, and then the rest will come. Hopefully it'll come. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got different ways to make money. You know what I'm saying? But when this cracks, it should be, you know,
be ready.
Fruitful. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Whatever we can do to help that, man. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you.